This is KUTX 98.9, the Austin Music Experience. Actually, it's KUTX at home. I'd rather be at the station, but we're at home. And you know who else is home, kind of sort of home with me? Someone that I've been such a huge fan of. And, as dorky as I may sound, I follow her on Twitter. I listen to that voice because she is a voice. She is songwriter and frontwoman of The Suffers out of Houston, Texas. Please welcome my special guest today, Kam Franklin. Hi, Kam.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm happy to have you here. And like I said, Kam, you are the voice. That is no exaggeration to me. And I say this not only in following all the awesome music that the Sufferers have done and that you yourself have done over these years, and not only because of the national television appearances that you've made. I still brag about that, Kam, all the time.
Thank you.
Oh, I mean, no, it's no small feat. I mean, I keep going back to Letterman, Jimmy Kimmel, the Daily Show, and then I go, no big deal, just those. Um, but also, Kam, you are a powerful voice of activism. And if I can say this as well, you've been this way since forever. Okay, this is not a new thing. All right, I keep reminding people this is not a fad. Black Lives Matter is not a political statement.
Oh,
I'm going to talk about that as well. But first, I'd like to start off by saying thank you so much for participating in Song Confessional. Um, I had a lot of fun listening not only to the confessional, but hearing you talk about the romantic side of it. And not only that, but just generally being a badass. How did you hear about Sound Confessional? How did that come about?
well, I heard about Song Confessional through Walker Lucas, who has become a good friend and just colleague over the years. And he told me that he had this new idea and how basically it would be real stories from real people that are combined with songs from real artists that are inspired by those stories. And so I've always loved the idea of fantasy and romance and just creating narratives. And so being given this opportunity to talk about something happy and that, almost being forced to focus on something happy during the middle of such a terrible time in the world was almost a healing exercise for me because it forced me to think about the last time I fell in love, and it was just a really fun experience.
Yeah, you could feel it. You could absolutely feel it. And listening to the song that you wrote, I Can't Wait. First of all, what a gorgeous piece of work.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to show my age, Kam, but I don't care. The reason why this spoke to me, I would say almost immediately, is because of the mellowness of it, because of the way it flows. There is a classic sound to that. And I've known you to capture the classic sound. You do a modern thing, but I hear the artist from yesterday going, yes, Kam, that's it, you got it. And I really picked up on that with I Can't Wait, um, especially when I hear you sing, life is way too short. I'm like, woo, getting goosebumps.
That's what Walker said too. So I was like, oh, thank you.
It's just spectacular. And again, going back to the way it's delivered, the keys that I hear on that, it is spectacular. But what also blows my mind is you recorded your vocals at home on your own, and
Yeah.
everybody worked on it in their own individual separate spaces.
Yep.
That again, while it blows my mind, it doesn't sound like it at all. It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, I recorded it at home, and I also recorded all the vocals on my iPhone on on
Wow.
the old, before they had the cool AirPods, the one that's on the wire. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just like the way that I sound on there, and I like the control of my voice. it takes way longer to get everything exported as far as the files, the audio files for the background vocals are concerned. But sometimes the process has to be a little bit longer in whatever art it is that you're choosing to pursue to have it turn out the way you want it to turn out. So
Absolutely. And I can hear all the time, the affection that went into this. This is like made with love, obviously.
thank you.
And again, though, going back to how everything was so carefully pieced together, this is, and I hate this expression, but I'll use it, the new reality. Everyone keeps saying the new reality. I'm going, yeah, I know. But it is, and I have also seen you apply the same kind of hard work and dedication to your live stream performances. And I think that's where this is leading me to. I've had the opportunity to see you do your live stream shows. If I heard you correctly, 15 live stream performances. And I'm like, mind blown.
Oh man, yeah, that was just for the Suffers platforms. You know, if I were to really do the math as far as how many live streams I've done since going into quarantine in March, I think the number's probably closer to like 40 or 50 at this point. But the thing is that, you know, that's becoming our new thing, and it's a new process for most of us. When quarantine started, I didn't know how to run video. I didn't know how to run my own. I knew parts about how to run my own sound, but not to the level of how I do now. I was not playing guitar. Now I'm doing full shows with guitar. I did one last night. And it's become one of those things where, while yes, people are referring to it as the new reality, I don't think that it will be like this forever. I think that this is a temporary cycle that's lasting a little bit longer than most of us would care for. But at the same time, when you really dig into what's going on, and I'm sure you have, you know, one nerd to another, to see the people that are actually thriving right now for the first time ever, not because of COVID, not because of everything that's going on with the multiple pandemics, just the people that have been allowed to take a break without, you know, being forced to do all these other things, the people that have been able to benefit from a normal wage due to the CARES Act, you know, and it shouldn't take a pandemic for that type of stuff to occur, but I've found that to be almost comforting during all of this, to know that while there are so many people suffering, there is a part of the population that were suffering long before that just never had their head above water. And to hear about the people that are getting that peace, like that type of energy allows me to not feel like this is so insert expletive terrible.
And I would like to second that expletive as well. But no, you're absolutely right. And I think that's what gives me that really, I feel it's a strange underlying tone of hope. It really does.
Yeah, I agree.
I see people being badasses left and right. And even though this is such a challenging time, I'm like, look at you go, look at this person go, look at this artist. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that also generates quite a bit of excitement. And I see that when you do your performances, you know, I'm there, I'll be just like anybody on the couch or, you know, relaxing at home. And I'm like, look at Kam go, and is just blowing up. And
thank you.
As our producer said just a little earlier, all the sparkliness and the sequins, you know, that just adds, that's an extra layer right there.
Thank you. I feel like it's a part of the show. You know, I know everybody can't go and build up a full thing. You know, that's why a lot of artists have teams, and those people that are on those teams build these amazing sets and designs. But for me, when we started just even talking about the possibility of doing a live stream, the thing that really brought hesitation for me early was not being able to provide that same energy that I'm known for. Because the last thing I wanted is somebody to be like, hey man, check out this band called the Sufferers from Houston. Oh, I've never heard of them, because that's what, I usually hear. And I would hate for them to watch, our Letterman performance or any other performance and see the height of what our energy could be like, and then get this introduction to us that is, sponsored by my multiple pandemic depression. But it's like, that's not the job. The job is, if I'm going to present this art, it needs to be presented in a way that is representative of me, so that I can deliver what it is that I've worked so hard to build. And so, I built the Sequence Sanctuary for those first round of live streams. And so now I'm in this glitter garden space right now, filled with all these flowers, filled with all these fabrics from the places that we've traveled around the world, filled with fabrics from places I want to go to. And I had to build a space that was more reflective of the positive mindset that I'm in right now. The first space I definitely built while manic and finding out that, dang, they canceled South by. Wait, you canceled my whole year? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And when I got done crying and cussing and just, oh, poor me, I was like, okay, well, what can I do? I'm a survivor. I don't, staying down is not what I do. So I did not know what I was doing. I've always been a person with vision, but, I've always been told, this can't happen unless you do this. This can't happen unless you work with this person. This can't happen because time. And I'm thinking, I'm here. Well, shit, let me Google. Let me get online and see what I can order and figure out how I can do this myself. And, spend a lot of time on YouTube and cut myself a lot on accident and burnt myself with the hot glue gun a lot on accident. And, it was such a learning process between this and, figuring out how the sound worked, that when I finally got to this first show and when I got to the 15th show, it felt like such a triumphant moment. One thing that I always bring up when talking about these live streams is how hard work they are and how frustrating it is to get started, because so many people are just, well, why don't you just do a live stream? Well, why don't you just put your phone up? Well, why don't you? Because the consumption of entertainment and the quality at which we think it needs to be is constantly changing and evolving. And for an artist like myself that already has so much going against me, aside from all the isms, that's just always something that's there. I don't use that as an excuse when something is taken away from me. I acknowledge it, but I don't use it as an excuse. However, I know that our DIY existence, our 9 years of figuring this out independently, because we've yet to have a machine that has been willing to take and I say a machine, yet to have a bigger label that has been willing to take a risk on us or invest in us. And so we've kept going. But when you keep going, that means that you have to keep discovering, you have to keep evolving. You have, as a leader and as an artist and as a creative, we started this Zoom off. I had 3 diamonds, now I got 2. But you know what? That's because I didn't put my little glue on. That's something I learned 3 weeks ago. But these are things that, I'm trying to look at the constant, like, this isn't a woe is me. This is a gift for me because I'm alive, because I have yet to have anyone, knock on all the wood, knock on everything. I've yet to have anyone in my life directly be taken by COVID. Yes, I am experiencing so much with what is going on in the world, but we all are. And so I'm trying to lead with that, like, okay, we're all in this together. How can I, protest through my art? How can I encourage people through my art? How can, and that's been really what's been keeping me lifted.
I hear it in your voice all the time. So thank you for being an inspiration, I was going to say. And you brought up some very important points here. music to me is a form of protest. It is a form of resilience as well as resistance. It is expression at this level that I've been in love with for, well, I would say all my life. And you can hear it when someone uses it. I mean, really uses it. And Kam, you are a shining example. I've heard it in your voice. And I know that you also said some things in a great chat I heard recently. There's a podcast called In Harmony. And this is how I found out that you are an actual board member of Headcount. I refer people to headcount.org, but it's an organization called Headcount. This is a voter registration and education organization that promotes through music. And I was like, Kam's on the board of directors, what? That's just one example of many things that you do. And again, even in talking with Walker Lukens and having this chat on this podcast, you were very straightforward about, look, this is who I am. This is not, doing exceptional things, or making all kinds of special things just to be fancy. My words are failing me right now, but I think the reason why I get excited is because this is powerful stuff. You're doing it not only to represent yourself, but again, this hope that I spoke of previously. This is something that with music, you can take it and spread it even further, spread a message even further.
Definitely. Definitely. Last year, and I'm so grateful that I did it last year, I was able to go on this, I don't even want to call it like an excursion because that's not the right word. I think fellowship would probably be a better word.
There you go.
But I started a relationship with the National African American History Museum in DC, and I spent days and days and days in these different exhibits. And when I started working on the upcoming suffrage record, a big focus in my mind was, what am I doing wrong? What is it I'm doing wrong? And every artist goes through that. Every artist goes through the, self-doubt, self-doubt, self-doubt. And the reason I was experiencing that at the time was because I did have so many people in my ear for years telling me about what I couldn't do without the help of a man, without the help of a white man, without, and I was just like, no. I need to learn more. I need to learn more, and I need to learn it on my own. And so while I was at that museum, every artist that I didn't know or recognize the name, I wrote it down. If there was a piece of clothing or a stage outfit there, they have Parliament's Mothership there that I spent, I definitely rolled up there one of the days on an edible and just stared at the mothership for 2 hours. And I'm pretty sure it changed my life. And I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going. Actually, George Clinton's birthday was yesterday, but it helped me see what it was within me that I thought was missing, which was nothing. I am the gift. I have it within me. I have the vision. I have all of that. And, reading about all these artists that had people back then questioning them, artists back then that had to use their platform to be an activist, learning that Sam Cooke, was just as big of an activist as he was an artist, and realizing that all of the artists were like that. Aretha, Ella, that's what Black folks did. But who am I to show up in this modern day industry and, get to climb these levels without having a contract that silences me or what I think, and not use the platform, not use that opportunity? Like that's such a waste. I'm here, I am free, I am strong, I am hella Black, I am hella feminine. So I'm trying to lead with that instead of suppressing it as if there's something wrong with that. Because I need the next generation of Black women that come out of whatever thing that's holding them back to know that it's not them. It's not their art. It's just the time. It's the opportunity. It's the moment. But amazing things can happen when you stay focused and when you keep going and when you hold on. And so that's what I'm doing.
It's moving forward. And I've heard you talk about visibility. And one of the things that really stuck with me, of course, is you were saying leading by example.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us have never even paused to think, oh my gosh, there may be someone, there may be someone out there looking to me to see how I'm doing it, to see how I'm approaching things, to see how I'm taking things on. And hearing you talk about leading by example, that just really rang with me as well. Again, not always easy, I understand that, but when you can, wow, that is an incredible thing.
I've definitely had to deal with the consequences that come along with leading by example. And sometimes that can mean people not wanting to play your music. Sometimes that can mean, you know, your reputation changing because you stood up for somebody, and then hearing, you know, a completely different version of events years later. And, you know, we've fought through every ism that you can think of. And I say everything because it's constantly evolving. You know, we now have 2 women in the band, and we we have all of these different nationalities. And when we create our music and when we are in a room together, you know, we look around sometimes and realize, like, wow, we have been able to achieve something that so many other artists are never able to achieve. And what I mean by that is a safe space where women, people of color, people that identify as other things, you know, just as whatever it is that you want to identify in, we have a space that allows for that and has always allowed for that. And I feel like all band environments should be like that, but it's not a thing. Why do I say that? Because we don't have an industry that is reflective of that. And if you don't have leadership for an industry that you're trying to go into, you are going to be reflective eventually of that industry in some type of way, be that through the way that you're treated, through the way that you treat other people, through who you choose to hire. And, you know, I have been leading very, very tough tough conversations the last few years, but the last few weeks especially have been a whole new level of wow, 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 as far as like, oh, I'm no longer, you know, this aggressive woman that people think are constantly people think is constantly making stuff up in regards to the negativity, the oppression, the blacklisting that I have email proof and video proof of having it happen. However, I do believe in people having the capability to change. However, sometimes that's not gonna come just on them naturally choosing to do it. Sometimes it's gonna have to come from calling it out, from me saying things like, hey, I don't see that many Black people at these music festivals. I don't see that many Hispanic people. I hardly ever see any, you know, Pacific Islander or Indians. By the way, I never really see any Black people working at any of the agencies as far as the folks that are representing Black artists. I never see that many Black executives unless they are, you know, on an urban side. Like, why am I not seeing more of a mix? Why am I not seeing other people? You know, it might happen once in a while, but, you know, the industry is changing. A lot of what used to be standard doesn't exist anymore. And we're going to see a lot of that as time progresses, and, you know, we move further without a vaccine and without artists being on tour and without live venues being open. However, I am in a place now where I am trying to get past what has happened to me as a victim. And I'm trying to get to a place where I can lead with forgiveness, so that I can lead with solutions, and so that I can lead with listening and understanding and empathy, because I know that I have my own moments where I am constantly learning, constantly learning everything. And I feel like if you don't exist in a headspace where you're constantly learning, you know, you're not really contributing to the best of your capability as you can to society. And I understand, again, that learning is a low-key privilege. Everyone does not learn the same way. Everyone doesn't have access to the same stuff, even though people like to pretend everybody has access to the same stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, I am just trying to do the best that I can with what it is that I have.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. And I hear that in your voice. I follow you on Twitter, and again, talk about someone who's still learning. I would get into that right now, but today is about you, Kam. And but I know what you're saying. I hear you loud and clear, especially when you speak up, because to me, when I hear you speaking up, I don't just hear it as singular. I hear you doing this because you're thinking of others. And that is like that's a spectacular thing to see unfold. You're not just being like, what about me? I never hear you as poor me. Instead, I hear you as, how can we do this to make it better?
I'm glad you hear that, because when I hear these telephone versions of events that I've supposedly been a part of, they always make me sound so weak. And I'm like, for being this mean old bitch that I'm accused of being so often, in these retellings, I just sound like I need to be rescued. So y'all gotta get it right. But yeah, I pro learning. You know, I just finished this book by Alok. I forget their last name, but it's the Beyond the Gender Binary book.
Yeah.
And I read it because I wanted to get better with my pronouns, and I'm still learning. You know, like I was one of these people that, like, you know, how are you supposed to ask? Not because, oh, I don't have friends that, you know, are within that community, but because in the South, people, you know, I will tell you this, growing up within the LGBTQIA community in the South and then anywhere else is a very different everything. Yeah. Because you have a lot of older members of that community that don't acknowledge a lot of the new, like, I've learned you just have to ask. And there's nothing wrong with just asking. As a person that has spent my entire life correcting people on the pronunciation of my first name, I'm like, okay, well, if I can correct them when it comes to that, that's how I treat it. I treat pronouns as, excuse me, can you tell me how to say your name again?
Right, exactly. And no, that's the way I do it. And I feel better when I'm able to go, oh, thank you so much for clearing that up. Or, you know what, thank you. I appreciate your help. Thank you for letting me know, because I really want to know. and that's the bottom line for me. It's like, thank you for helping me to learn.
Because the thing is that I feel like the testament of a true Southerner is making others feel welcome. And I never want to make someone feel like I'm not including them through my speech. And I feel like that's something that I could easily work on improving as I lead forward, because I know that there are a lot of members within my community that have a lot of work to do as far as that is concerned, and respect towards our LGBTQIA family. And, you know, I want to make sure that I'm leading there as well, and not just when it comes to issues that are directly affecting me, because I feel like you can't ask for true unity if you aren't standing in solidarity
with them. Yeah, exactly. I am excited because now I'm like running all over the place here, switching tracks. I heard you say something about working on a new album.
I'm working to, you know, what's hilarious, due to quarantine, I'm actually working on 5 albums.
Five. This many.
5. Yes. So next week, we are going, and by we, I mean the Suffers, my main project, is going back into the studio. And I say us, when actually 3 of us are going into a very socially distant studio situation, and then the rest of the band are going to record at different times. And while it's not the ideal situation that we like, we prefer live room, everybody, da 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 da. You know, we're making it work. However, and this is actually exciting, and I'm really proud of us for doing it like this. We recorded the more difficult part of the record before the pandemic, so this is the much easier instrumentation of the album that we're about to go in and finish. But in addition to the Suffers, I am the executive producer. I'm actually, we just confirmed it today. I'm actually the executive producer for the upcoming Suffers record, but I'm also executive producing this album called the Bayou City Comeback Chorus, which was a project that was sponsored by the Houston Arts Alliance that was pre-COVID going to allow me to put together a 25-person choir where we would basically sing songs about strength and unity and just getting over the hard times. And so I wrote the songs for that project before COVID. And the timing is just kind of perfect. And so because I learned how to record myself before this Walker project, I am actually going to provide a service to a lot of other artists that might not know how to do it, and teaching them how to record themselves for my project. I'm going to hire them through the money that I received through this program. And then I am going to release that project, and we're going to have some type of public presentation. It'll probably be via Zoom. But the recording on that is going to be done around the end of September. And then I am working on my first solo record, which is called Homegirl Island. And it is likely not going to be released until after the Suffers next record, which is next spring. But that's coming along pretty quickly, and I'm really excited about the progress that's happening there. I am also working on a country record with my good friend Robert Ellis, and that I'm hoping for us to knock out before the end of the year, even if it is remotely or whatever. But yeah, we've known each other for a long time, and he actually co-wrote a song with me for this upcoming Suffers record, him and Binky Griptight from Gap Kings. And so I'm really excited. Girl, I went in on these weird collaborations. I'm like, I know that don't know each other, but yeah. So we're working on that. I think that's 4 records, and then 5. Myself and Joshua Sante from Amasa Hines out of Little Rock. So,
awesome. I love it. To me, it okay. So I know maybe, Kam, some people are like, oh, you know, you're putting these names out, and what gets to me is this: some people might go, oh, I never would have expected you to work with Robert Ellis. I tend to go the other way. When I see artists, you know, going, oh, and by the way, I'm working on these 5 albums, and then, you know, to me, it is about going all across spectrums. You know, I understand people relating to certain genres, but there's a reason I'm terrible when it comes to writing about music. I don't know how to write about music. I just listen to it. So hearing about you working with these artists makes all the sense in the world.
Thank you.
It just, you know,
I mean, the Houston connection is such a tight one. You know, I always tell people artists from Houston have a little chip on our shoulder because it takes so long for us to break. And, you know, by the time we do, it's usually stratosphere. You know, if you look back on Google, you will find years and years of me complaining about why people hadn't discovered Lizzo yet, about why people hadn't discovered Khruangbin yet. And, you know, these are my friends, and, you know, we hardly get to see each other because everyone's doing their thing, and it's beautiful, and I'm so proud of everyone and their success. However, if you don't nurture music at that early place, if you don't support it at that early place, you're probably not going to get to hear it until it's in your face and everywhere, and, you know, everybody's blasting it, and it's beautiful for the homies. But you know, I'm ready for my ascent, and I'm excited because I know it's coming, and I know it's just a matter of time. And what used to be a chip has now become, I think, just a little bit of a place for my cape to go. So
Exactly. Exactly. Number one, it's a magnificent cape. And number two, it's never been a question of, oh, is this going to happen? It's just when.
yeah, I mean, it's in that, and that's the truth. And if you listen to the ones that have been in it forever, and the ones that it feels like, oh, they're at the top, everybody starts somewhere, and you know, everybody goes through their battles to get to a place of sustainability as an independent artist, as a you know, a major artist. It's all work, it's all dedication, and you know, that's really what is allowing me to just be happy right now, because I've finally gotten into this pleasant headspace where I'm like, you know what, I'm tired of fighting with people. I'm just gonna let my work speak for itself. And you know, when I am in a position to where I can hire folks and, you know, elevate people, I will do that. You know, I'm gonna I'm gonna continue voicing for us, but you know, instead of trying to wait for folks that are probably never gonna change, I'll just wait until it's my time and lead that way.
Do it yourself. I hear you loud and clear. And also wanted to remind our listeners that the Suffers have a Patreon page. Is that correct?
Yes, we just launched our Patreon. It's patreon.com/the suffers. But yeah, we're really excited about it. We have just amazing fans. Our fans are the reason we were able to release our first record through our Kickstarter. And you know, when we when our van got stolen in 2019, here they come again, you know. And but beyond that, in this quarantine space, we miss seeing them. We miss going to their city and kicking it with them, because our fans eventually become our friends and our family. And it's been a bummer not to be able to be out there on the road and sharing, not only sharing this new music with them, but just establishing those connections. And so I'm kind of looking forward to just, not kind of, like I'm looking forward to exploring this new medium with them, but just connecting with them in a different way. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that.
Awesome. So I encourage everybody to check out The Suffers on Patreon, and just thanking you in advance for your support. And Kam, I want to say thank you for having this wonderful conversation with me. Like I said, been following you for a while. I am a fan. I love to nerd out over the music. And again, thank you for all that you do. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you to KUTX for the support. We love y'all so much. And I would told one of my bandmates yesterday, I was like, I feel like we need to be doing more KUTX. I was like, don't they know that Nick went to UT? Like, what's going on? We got a Longhorn in the band, and they don't, like, we need to see, when this is over, like, we need to come see y'all.
More KUTX. Bring the Suffers.
Yes. We miss y'all. We miss that cute little studio y'all got. And we just hope everybody's staying
good and safe and all the good stuff. Thank you, Kam. I appreciate it. And I will say thank you to our listeners. It is always a pleasure to be hosting an interview like this for KUTX at Home. Been talking with Kam Franklin this afternoon. I'm Laurie Gallardo for KUTX 98.9.